My name is Megan. You're watching Miss Megan Knits. The dog apparently ran into the room at the sound of my voice. Links to everything I talk about will be in the description box below. How is everybody today? I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, a Happy Kwanzaa, Happy whatever the heck you celebrate. Yule. And I hope you're gonna have a Happy New Year pretty soon coming up. I hope everybody has wonderful knitting plans planned for 2020. I have a couple myself. And I'll talk about it a little bit later. Yeah, can't wait to get started. I'm going to show you all about the stuff I've been working on and also the things I got for Christmas that I really am excited to get into playing with. The first thing I want to work on is something that was a whip in my last video, which were crocheted headbands. So I have these two. This one was done in the last video except for being stitched up, so now it's stitched up. This is a tulip stitch crocheted headband. And then this is a puff stitch headband. That's the wrong side actually, but I think it's prettier than the right side. This is the right side. I think these are aligned puffs, I believe. I have the information on those in the last video. You can check that out. And I'll link it below, I think. Oh, I'll link the book that I got these stitches from. It's a Crochet Stitch Dictionary by Sarah Hazel. And that's where I got these stitches from. And I just kind of chained a number that looked like it'd be the right width for a headband. This one ended up a little bit wide, but I think it'll be fine. The destination of these, I said last time I didn't know what to do with these. Well, one of my crafty goals for 2020 is to actually participate in a craft fair. I knit and crochet a lot of stuff, and I don't have homes for it all. Everybody in my family is very warm now. I'd love to be able to kind of share some of my talent with other people, so these were something I was thinking of whipping up kind of quick as kind of an experiment to see if they sell and if people like them. The second thing I made was this thing called a Scrub-a-Dubby. I'll link the pattern. It's a loom knitting pattern that I did on my 24 peg 5/8 gauge loom. It's actually designed for a 20 peg, I believe, but she gives options for, I believe, 12 through 24 stitch or peg looms so that you can adapt it, and she tells you how to adapt it to your loom, which is really great if you have a 5/8 gauge loom. This is a little scrubber for pots and pans. So it's made of one strand of Red Heart Scrubby Sparkle, which looks a little bit like this, held together with a strand of any cotton of your choice. I'm using cotton mill ends. I made one in one evening. I made two in that same evening. I got a little bit carried away, and I have made, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's one in my kitchen sink right now. So I've made 6, 2 blue, 2 pink, and 2 purple. And I have this much scrubby yarn left over. Like, this is one ball of scrubby. These are also craft fair potential items, just because they didn't take me very long to make, and they're super cool, and they work really well actually for scrubbing. The reason why you're using cotton and scrubby is that the scrubby is made of polyester, so it gets a really abrasive kind of surface. Not too abrasive, like I can rub it on my hand and it's not going to hurt me, but it scrubs away stuff. And the cotton actually holds in water, so it gets sudsy. So it's actually almost better than those silicone sponges you might get at the store. But what I did is I basically just grabbed a ball of scrubby and my loom pick, and an Oceans case, and a row counter. I find using a row counter is the easiest way to count your rows on this particular project because the fuzziness kind of makes everything hard to see. But anyway, I have a bunch of cotton in this bag. I have a bunch of colors of miscellaneous mill ends, these same cotton mill ends I've been talking about forever. I'm trying to use them up. And I just grabbed a big bag and shoved a whole bunch of stuff in it, and it sits by my chair, and anytime I need something quick and mindless and easy, or if I'm going on a long car ride, for example, one of my doctors is an hour away, so it's an hour there and an hour back, I can get a scrubby and a half done in that time if we stop for fast food. And I'm eating that part of the time. So, super easy, super quick. The cast on and bind off are a little tricky. They're designed to eliminate the bulk that you get if you were to just thread it through and cinch it. But once you figure it out, it's not that hard. It's just a matter of trying to get the cast on working correctly, which took me a couple tries on the first scrubby, but then I got the hang of it. It is basically a tube that you cinch shut at both ends and then thread the string through and tie it. And it's a free pattern. I know most of my patterns I use are free, but this one's a free pattern. So definitely check it out. I really recommend it. Even if you've never loomed it before, I'd say start with Luma hats easy beginner hat. I don't know what it's called. I'll link it. Start with that as your first ever loom knit thing, and then these might be a good second or third loom knit thing if you're feeling ambitious. So definitely give them a try. The next thing I made was actually a more ambitious project. I finished a pair of fingerless gloves that almost have full fingers, and I'm going to show you. So these gloves right here, the pattern is Dad's Photography / iPhone Gloves by Faye Perriam Reed, and I'm reading that off my screen to make sure I have that correct because I really want to give her credit. This is a really good pattern. There's no picking up stitches between the fingers, so if you're someone who doesn't like to make gloves for that reason, this eliminates that. She has a special technique that she does. I'm not going to go into it because it is a paid-for pattern and I don't want to give away her secrets, but it worked really well. I don't have any gaps between the fingers. There was no sewing up at all, so that was really nice. The thumb required picking up stitches kind of a lot, which I didn't like so much, but it kind of made up for it with the fact that the fingers were so easy. Now her pattern is vanilla. So she has just stockinette and she does a 2x2 rib for the cuff. I decided to make it a little bit more personalized, a little bit more me. Even though these are for my dad, I should have mentioned that. These are actually for my dad for driving. He requested them. But I made the cuff with Faro rib from the Sock Knitter's Handbook. Both of these stitch patterns are from the Sock Knitter's Handbook, and I'll link the book. But I think you can find them in other, if you Google Faro rib, I'm sure it will come up. And then this was a Roman rib. I'm going to zoom in on the texture here. I'm going to bring it closer. I'm not going to zoom in. I'm not that fancy. And I carried the texture up the back of the fingers. And the palm is just plain stockinette because I thought that'd be easier. And you can see the fingers go most of the way up. They leave the tips open. That way when you're holding the steering wheel, you don't have to hold with your fingertips because, you know, where we live, it gets below freezing in the mornings and Dad has to drive my brother to school, so it's cold. The steering wheel is cold. I've been in the car with him where he's trying not to touch the steering wheel as he's driving through our neighborhood, and it's just a little bit crazy, so yeah, definitely get the gloves. Those are good. They fit me perfectly. His hands are bigger than mine, but he likes a really tight-fitting glove, especially for driving, so he reassured me a million times that this is what he wanted, so I'm like, okay, fine. If he doesn't end up liking them, I can steal them and make him another pair because they were so fun to whip up. Now the pattern says DK weight yarn. I found in the Revelry products a lot of people used a heavy fingering. I would have probably gone that route too if he hadn't picked the specific yarn he wanted me to use that was a DK weight. Just because I had to use size 1 needles to make this work. 8 stitches per inch gauge, I think, which is usually what I get with fingering weight size 2 needles, just personally. That's my sock gauge. So I feel like if I used maybe a Patton's Croix or something like that that's a little bit thicker of a fingering weight, it would have worked out a little bit less dense. He says he likes them dense, so. I did make the other one. I've been only showing you one glove, but there is a left and a right. I didn't pull that all the way. There we go. There is a left and a right. And they work really well. The yarn I used, by the way, I played a little bit of yarn chicken. This was all the yarn I had left over. Which might not be yarn chicken for some people, but it is for me because I usually have way more yarn than is left over after projects. So this was all I had. The yarn I used was Mother Nature's Finest Fiber USA Alpaca DK Weight Knitter's Yarn, all natural. It says, our all natural DK Weight Knitter's yarn is spun in the USA using US grown alpaca and merino natural fibers. Alpaca is naturally warm, soft, and strong, making it a great choice for your next knitting project. And then it has all the details, 3.5 ounce skein, 185 yards, 2 ply, size 8 to 10 needles, which I use size 1 needles to make these gloves work. Hand wash, dry flat. This is 70% US alpaca, 30% US merino, made in the USA. They're really firm on it's US. I think this is from a collective of alpaca farmers who kind of spread their products around. Because I got this one from a local alpaca farmer at a farm, it wasn't a farm stand, they're at farm stands a lot, but I got this at a winery festival that I went to. I got this from Cave Rock Farm, caverockalpaca.com. I'm going to show you the little card, it's very cute. Alpaca sales, alpaca fiber products, odor-free alpaca manure for plants and gardens. Like us on Facebook. So they're kind of local to me, and they show up with the alpacas. I pet the alpaca. Probably wasn't the alpaca these gloves came from, but I pet a real alpaca, and bought yarn, and it was great. They also sell a lot of pre-made slippers and socks and gloves and hats and scarves and all kinds of things like that made with alpaca products, so if you're interested. I was able, last time when I was linking things, I found the Mother Nature's alpaca on a different website than the Cave Rock Farm, so I'll link both in the description below, but you can choose where you want to support if you were interested in supporting. I believe these are a natural color actually, I'm not sure if they're dyed, but I have a skein that I bought at that same festival that is kind of naturally dyed with some pink kind of colors in it, so that one's really pretty. I'll probably knit something with that soon. So the next FO is a crocheted FO. I chose to do this for a craft fair, you know, in the future, because honestly, I never get to knit anything for babies because I don't know any babies. But if you go to a craft fair, maybe someone else will know a baby and they can buy it from you. So I found something that I was deciding to put together as a set, because I'm thinking, like, if you sell individual items, that's great, but if you can kind of bundle them together, you might be able to up the price a little bit and make a little bit more off of them. I have this bib, piglet bib. So for this, and I use the same colors for the other project I'm going to show you that's part of the set, but the light pink is Karen Simply Soft. The dark pink is Studio Classic by Nicole. I managed to get one of their last skeins at AC Moore's closing sale, so that's what I'm using. And then the brown is some leftover from that hat and mittens I made. It is Lion Brand Heartland in Mammoth Cave. So the bib is a really basic crocheted bib, and then you make the ears and stitch them on, make the eyes and stitch them on, make the nose, stitch them on. I've screwed up the embroidery on the nose a little bit, but I'm hoping it just adds character and someone will still love it. And then with the same yarns, I have a little piggy. He has a little curly tail, which I think is the cutest feature of him. He has this little curly, cute tail thing. Oh, I forgot to mention, both of these patterns are free from Lion Brand. I'll link them. The bib is called Piglet Bib, and this is called Amigurumi Pig. The only change I made is that instead of using safety eyes, which aren't safe for children under 3, I embroidered some eyes using that same brown yarn. And I did a French knot successfully for the first time. It took a little bit of fiddling, but I managed to get some eyes going. I think he's adorable, and if you sell them together, you can have a little bib and a stuffed animal that kind of go together. They're both pigs, and it'll be cute. I hope it'll be cute. I think it's cute. I would buy it for my kid one day, so hopefully someone else will. I did crochet something for charity. As everybody knows, I work on Plarn mats. Plarn is plastic yarn made of plastic bags. I crochet these mats, or I make these mats from start to finish, from bag to mat. I'm part of every step in the process, basically. And we make them for homeless people in our community. They go on a truck called the Mobile Loaves and Fishes truck, and they bring them out and distribute them. So I make them, and I just bring them to church, and other people take it from there. So this one's ready to be brought to church. I didn't bring it to church today. It's Sunday today when I'm filming this. I didn't today because I completely forgot about it, but good thing, because now I can show it to you. Here it is. Now this is basically something people can sleep on. It is 2 people wide, so you could share it with a friend, or lay on one side and pull the other side over you like a sleeping bag and keep yourself warm. You can wrap it around you to keep the rain off, to keep the bugs off. It's a fairly loose crochet, so it's not super heavy, which is good. And the air between the stitches actually traps air, keeps you warm. Especially in this time of year when everything's really cold, the pavement is really cold. Keeping yourself off the pavement is really good. But it's also good in the summer when the pavement is really hot, keeping yourself kind of off the pavement. So I've actually gotten Bear full-flown into making Plarn. He will string Plarn with me and talk for hours. So it is really fun to have someone, I mean, my mom worked on it with me too. She's really fun to cut bags with, but Bear's really fun to do all the looping with, because we can just talk and watch TV and loop and loop and loop and loop and loop and, you know, fix the world's problems by chatting. The handles are not plastic bags. They're made of caution tape I bought from the hardware store just because it's a little bit stronger than plastic bags. What you can do is make a handle out of plastic bags by chaining and then single crocheting across a couple of times to make it thicker, and that should make the handle nice and strong if you would like to use only recycled materials. But this is to save me time because I can just chain the handle. Our local town, not our town, but the town we do a lot of shopping in because we live in a small town, has enacted a ban on plastic bags that are below a certain millimeter. And the thick bags that stores have started using to replace them don't work for mats very well. Neither do the paper bags that we use also. Lately we've been using reusable bags and not getting any of those bags, which is good for the environment, but not so good for the flower mats. So we're kind of relying on people in other towns and on the stash we've built up at church to supply the bags for the mats, which is good. We don't want to buy bags just for mats, but we do want to recycle as many as we can and get them out to people in need. Another thing I did, one day I got the pom-pom making bug, so I got out my scraps of yarn stash and I made some pom-poms. I was thinking I could put them on hats, or, yeah, basically hats. But I don't have hats for them yet. I just made a bunch of pom-poms because I felt like it. So here's what I got. I have two made of Lion brand Wool-Ease Thick and Quick in marble. And I think they came out so cool. Ignore the string that I used to tie them. Here's those. I have one made of Wool-Ease Tonal, which is discontinued, in some sort of green. I've had it for a while. This looks really cool. It's a bulky weight, actually. Wool-Ease Tonal is bulky. I got it from Job Lot, so it was already discontinued when I got it, and now it's probably even more discontinued. And then I have two that I made with Lion brand homespun. It's a bright orange color. I didn't have the label. I inherited it from that nice lady who passed on. But this one's completely homespun, and this one is homespun plus a little bit of Wool-Ease Thick and Quick in a cream color. I just held them together when I wrapped, and so it came out kind of like this. I like the Wool-Ease because if you take a comb to the pom-pom and really brush it out, it looks really furry. So that's really fun. Not the Wool-Ease, sorry, the homespun. So my current whip, I finished the piglet, that was what I did last, on Christmas Eve. And I waited until Christmas Day to cast on because I was sure I would get something knitting related for Christmas and I wanted to cast it on right away. So I did. I got two basically kits from Blueprint that my mom got me. I sent her a list with a bunch of kits from Blueprint and from Yarn Inspirations with stuff that I liked, and I told her just pick whatever, and that way I'll still be surprised. So I am surprised because I completely forgot what I picked on the list, but the things she picked were really cool. So I'm going to show you. The first one is a whip because I had the needles for it at the time. I didn't have the needles for the other one, so I cast this one on. This is, oh, first of all, this is a chart keeper from Knit Picks I got, which is very helpful because this pattern has a bunch of charts. These are magnets. Both sides of this are magnetic. You just put the chart in and you magnetic strip it, and then you pull the magnet up to mark your place in the chart. I didn't want to reveal the charts of the pattern, I guess, but anyway, let's see. This is it. The Berry Pie Shawl by Donna Dracunis. I've taken some of her SOT classes on Craftsy. She's a really nice teacher. That's what it looks like. It's a pie shawl. I have never knit a pie shawl before. I have never knit a shawl made of completely of lace unless you count the Stormy Sky shawl, which I don't because it's really easy. So this is kind of a first for me. I'm kind of intimidated, but also I'm really excited. Here's another picture of it in purple. The yarn I'm using that came in the kit, Cloudborn Fibers Baby Alpaca Fingering in Autumn Heather, which is a really cool color because I wear autumn colors a lot because my red hair kind of goes with them. This is a fingering weight, 100% baby alpaca, 50 grams in a skein, so I have 6 skeins of this so that I have enough for the shawl. 201 yards, 184 meters to 50 grams, or 1.8 ounces. Made with love in Peru, a little bliss in every stitch. It's very soft, it's very squishy. I love it so much. I'm very excited. So here's what I've been doing so far. It's currently 4 days since Christmas, and this is what I've got. So I'm in the first little bit where it's just kind of getting started with the pie shawl bit. She gives you a good couple rows of stockinette to start off with, so you're not jumping into charts right away, which is really nice. Get the hang of how it's constructed first and then go into charts. It's just funny because I had to rip it out once and I was very disappointed, so that's why I have lifelines in it this time. I don't usually work with lifelines, but for this I really needed them because I did have to start over, and I was very angry that I did not put in a lifeline because I was having a hard time figuring out how to string a reactive lifeline, so I just ripped out the whole thing and figured it out again. But it's got this honeycomb stitch, and then it's got circles. So with little, they're made with double yarn overs. All of the holes are double yarn overs, so they're extra big. And then little circles. And then right now I'm working on another section, like this honeycomb section, like this really open work section. You can kind of see it if I go like this. And that's going to be a big section along this section right here. And there's going to be diamonds made of the circles, which I'm a little intimidated by because that's a 40 stitch repeat chart, and I'm like, I don't know. And then there's a beautiful border that's applied to the edge. So I am very excited to have this, and I'm very excited with how quickly it's working up. Actually, usually with fingering weight shawls it takes me forever, but I've done quite a bit already. Of course, I know that I'm at 288 stitches around now, and it's going to get to like 567 by the time I'm done. And that's a lot of stitches. So the rows take kind of a while to do each, but since it's a circle, you can kind of stop anywhere there's not a marker, so I'll figure it out. Berry Pie Shawl, Donna Jacunas, my current whip. I only have one whip, unless you count the scrubbies that I pull out sometimes, because I am working on being a more monogamous knitter. I think I'll get more done that way. Instead of having to choose between projects all the time and not get very much done, I can just work on one thing and be done. So that's what I've got. So I think this is a good transition into the things I got for Christmas, since I got that kit and that chart holder for Christmas. I told you about my other blueprint kit. They come in these big plastic bags, which I think are really cool. So this kit is for the Ribbing on the Runway Pullover by 10 Hours or Less Designs. This is a super bulky weight sweater, super chunky. It's supposed to be a 10-hour or less project. I don't know, we'll see, but I did get the needles for it. I didn't have them because it requires such big needles that they weren't something I had in my needle stash. So day after Christmas sale, Mom and I went to Michael's and I got some relatively inexpensive clover knitting needles. Relatively inexpensive clover knitting needles. They had plastic ones and aluminum ones that were cheaper, but I decided to go for the clover ones because they weren't that much more expensive, and they I've used clover needles before on larger gauge products. My size 11 16-inch circular needles are by Clover, and I really like them. So I figured I'll like these too. The yarn is Cloudborn Fibers Highland Superwash Wool Super Bulky in Charcoal Heather. It's 100% Highland Superwash Wool. It says Superwash Wool, machine wash, cold, gentle, hand wash, normal, do not wring, dry flat. So I hope it dries quickly because I hate drying sweaters flat, especially thick ones, because they take forever. Especially in my cold basement where I have to lay them out on the laundry table, and then I can't fold laundry because there's a sweater on the table and I need my sweater. Anyway, it's super squishy. It's actually really soft, but also has just enough grit to it so you know it'll be warm. And I love big, warm, cozy things, so I'm very excited to wear it. This charcoal gray is a wonderful color. I love wearing gray. It's a very good neutral. You can wear it with anything, and it's a really cool color, so I'm very happy that Mom picked this one out for me too. Okay, some other miscellaneous little things I got for Christmas. In my stocking, I got the Winter 2019 Knit Simple magazine. Didn't find anything in there that absolutely screamed knit me now, which I'm very disappointed about, but they did have a lot of gray featured, and it's a really pretty color. I got to see different ways it was used, and I'm thinking a gray sweater is in my future. Well, that gray sweater is in my future, but I'm thinking another one might be, because the gray is so versatile. It looks so good on the models. I didn't like any of the patterns, but the gray was a good color. Also, I got a couple of things from Knit Picks, a couple of smaller things. These are sock needle holders. Pull it out and show you how it works. It's a cardboard tube. I was expecting it to be plastic, but it's cardboard. And it has, each end has a little slit. You put the DPNs in the little slit and you close the tube, and it keeps the project safe. You close it as far as you can, and it keeps the stuff from falling off the needles. It keeps everything safe inside. So those will be really helpful. I use DPNs a lot. Pardon the dog noise. I'm not going to yell at her too much anymore, but you know, she's a dog and she likes to play, and apparently she likes to play while I'm making videos. I also got these medium yarn bobbins. Not entirely sure how these work. Let's play Megan Figures It Out on air. Oh, these are 2. Well, that explains that I was having trouble. So it flips up. These are good for intarsia. I'm trying to learn intarsia. I really want to learn intarsia in 2020. So you can control smaller amounts of yarn easier if you just wind them around the bobbin and then fold it closed, and then it will release it a little bit at a time when you pull on it, so that way things don't get tangled up. So it's helpful for intarsia. It's helpful for anytime you're working with small amounts of yarn and they're not staying in a ball, they're not staying in a little bobbin or a little butterfly, and you just want something a little bit more secure. So I got these. I got these to kind of force myself to learn intarsia because I don't want to waste them. Oh, I forgot to mention something I finished. It wasn't knitting, it wasn't crochet, and it's only finished because I'm fed up with it and don't want to do it anymore. This is a counted cross stitch thing. It doesn't look there's not very many cross stitches. There's some in the little corners there. It's mostly back stitching with different colors, and I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. I was forcing myself through it. I'm like, I want to try something that'd be easier on my wrists than knitting or crochet. And I can do it at times when my wrists are hurting. But it just wasn't for me. It looks good. I just didn't like doing it very much. So I'm going to probably put it on my bulletin board and it'll be pretty. Trim the little excess fabric. Also, stitching on black Aida cloth for my first time ever cross stitching probably wasn't a good idea, but the kit said beginner. And when I got it to my mom, who had cross stitched in the past, she was like, this is not a beginner kit. Why would anybody think this is a beginner kit? And it has no instructions. And it's like, yeah, so she helped me and I got it sort of done. Everything's crammed together, so the rest of the stuff won't fit. But I think it looks okay. I also got a couple of books. So the first book I got was the Alternate Stitch Dictionary by Andrea Rangel, 200 Modern Knitting Motifs. I've recently branched into the world of colorwork knitting, and I'm very excited to get this book because I've been eyeing it for a really long time, and I've been like, oh no, I don't need it. But this should help me do some cool colorwork designs, and it has, modern ones. They're not snowflakes and stuff. They're cool, interesting, geometric kind of things. 200 motifs, non-traditional colorwork charts, perfect for the creative knitter looking to break away from the ordinary. So I'm very excited about that one. This book I've been wanting, but it's kind of a pricey book, so I haven't gotten it, but I got it for Christmas. It was the Vogue Knitting, the Ultimate Knitting Book. Now I have the older version of this book, but this version includes elements of things like design. It includes a lot of how to basically design stuff is what I'm here for. It has a lot of cool stuff in it like the old book had, but it has so much more and stuff on how to design. Can I say that enough? Very excited. It talks about brioche, entrelac, mosaic knitting, all kinds of stuff that the other book just didn't have. So I'm very excited to own this. I will be reading through this as soon as I finish the book I'm reading now. Very excited, very excited, very excited. Also, another book I got at Michael's in the after Christmas sale, I don't think this was on sale, but we found it there, is the Hooked on Amigurumi 40 Fun Patterns for Playful Crochet Plushes by Melanie Morita, founder of Not Too Shabby Crochet. I picked these because I had just made the pig, and I realized that a lot of the amigurumi patterns I have are for big, elaborate, complicated amigurumi, which is fun for me and for friends and family, but if I'm going to make stuff for craft fairs, I want something a little simpler but still adorable. So this seemed like it fit the bill when I just looked at the cover. It's got all kinds of cute little things. All of them use safety eyes. I'm pretty sure I can embroider eyes on pretty much any of them. So, very excited. I can see a set of, a hat in matching kind of colors with, amigurumi, or cool booties that match with an amigurumi, or even a couple of amigurumi grouped together like a doll set, That'd be pretty fun. So, very excited to see them. Some of them are more complicated than others. Some of them make more sense than others, I guess, when you just look at them as to what they are. But very cute, so I'm very excited about that. I don't even know what I'm going to make after my berry pie shawl because I have so many cool things I want to start. Another vaguely knitting related thing I got were these wireless headphones. you have no idea how much easier it is to knit when you're not have a wire on your headphones that's getting caught in your needles and messing everything up. You don't have earbuds in. These don't look as nice because they are kind of dorky. Having the headphones over the ear looks a little dorkier than having in-ear earbuds, but they are so much nicer and more comfortable to wear. I'm very excited about these. I've tried them out. They sound really good. They're just an off-brand. The instructions weren't really in English. They were trying to be English. Doesn't matter. They work. I'm happy with them. They're a pretty rose gold color. I'm in. I guess I'm to this thing. The final thing that I got. The final thing that I got that was knitting related. I got some other miscellaneous stuff too, but the final thing that I got that was knitting related was a present from Bear. And he was so sure. I mentioned to him one day that I was looking at getting a new DPN set, and I'm like, oh, well, you know. So then, of course, he pulls up Amazon and does a whole bunch of research, and he's asking me weird questions about, like, would you like wooden needles or, like, these needles? And I'm like, I don't know why you're asking me this, but I'll tell you. Anyway, Christmas comes. This is what I get. The Knitter's Pride Ginger Sock Needle Set. Now, it says sock needle set, and you're thinking, like, size 0 to 3. Let's open it up. Size 0 to 9. So cool. It's got all the sizes. These needles are absolutely beautiful. I am so in love with them, and I want to try them out. But I also, that's not an amigurumi or the right size for my sweater, so I don't know what to do. But they look so good, and I want to work with them so much. Very smooth feeling. I took them out and looked at them. They're very nice. These are good for socks all the way up to bulky weight. I would use about a 9 on a bulky weight sock. So it's, and they're called socks because they're shorter. I think most DPNs come to about here. They're a little bit longer. But these would be perfect for, you know, anything, really. Most things that I knit. Fingerless gloves, socks, little stuffed toys, baby stuff. Because, you know, I'm all excited about baby stuff now because it was just so cute and I want to make more. Oh, and in this little pocket is a needle gauge, which is good because the numbers will probably wear off on the needles, so it's good to have a needle gauge right there, convenient and handy. These are so pretty. I don't want to know how much money he spent on them because I will feel really guilty, but they're so pretty. I'm very excited to use them. I don't know what I will use them for, but I will use them. I'll use them a lot. He told me he got them because he knew I would get a lot of use out of them, and it's true. I do knit a lot. I do use DPNs a lot. These are a lot of sizes. He told me he was looking for a screwdriver set, but for knitting, where you have different sizes of the same thing, and I'm like, yeah, that exists. That's this. You did good. He did good. He did really good. I'll keep him a little longer. So that is everything I have to share with you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a wonderful holiday. I hope you are going to have a wonderful 2020 full of, you know, knitting and goodness and happiness and peace and joy and love and all that stuff. I will talk to you in a future video. Oh, and don't forget, if you like the video, if you leave a like, that'll help me a lot and it'll help other people see the video, so that way they can possibly enjoy it too. And comments are always welcome. I like comments. They make me so happy. Bye!